Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Tuesday Times Roundtable. Today's topic is AI Unfiltered, how intelligence is changing everything, and it's going to be led by Dr. Jennifer Gebelein, who is joining us today. I'm going to be introducing you shortly. My name is Janeri Mendoza Farjan. I'm the Senior Program Coordinator for the Office of Global Learning Initiatives. And TTR, it is our weekly discussion series that brings together multiple perspectives on global issues and trends. All Tuesday Times roundtables are also aligned to the Sustainable Development Goals to connect with the topics of the SDGs. And you may find more information about TTR at go.fiu.edu/TTR. As a reminder, please scan the QR code to sign in for today's session, where you're here for Global Learning Medallion points, extra credit from your professor, staff or faculty from FIU. We just appreciate that you sign in, so that way we can also keep the record of the attendance for today, and we're happy that you're all here with us today. Also, as you engage in the session, we're going to ask you to raise your hand. We're going to have a couple of microphones around the floor area, so that way we can catch your engagement in the recording as well. So please make sure that you raise your hand. Okay, so at the Office of Global Learning Initiatives, we also have other programs as well available for students, undergraduate students. So the Peace Corps Prep program is one of them, Global Learning Medallion, and also there are scholarships and fellowships as well. If you would like to learn more about those programs, please visit go.fiu.edu/students, and you may also scan the QR code to take you to our Instagram page. Today's topic, it is connected to a news article, and this is because FIU formal partnership with the New York Times. You may access the article at go.fiu.edu/TTR0303. And then if you are not aware, everyone with an FIU email address gets free digital access to the New York Times, and you may activate your account at accessnyt.com. Okay. Also, the session, as I mentioned, they're connected to the SDGs, and today's session, it is connected to SDG number 9, Industry, Innovation, and Infrastructure by building resilient infrastructure, promoting inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and fostering innovation. All right, and now it is my great pleasure to introduce our presenter for today, Dr. Jennifer Gebelein. She is the Director for Artificial Intelligence, Integration, and Faculty Success in the Center for Advancement and Teaching at FIU. In this role, Dr. Gebelein leads the integration of AI into the institution's pedagogical practices and curriculum. She provides strategic leadership in the exploration and adaptation of AI technologies to introduce and design curricula that incorporates AI. She also ensures academic programs and forward thinking and align with the industry trends and FIU strategic plan. Dr. Gebelein collaborates with university leadership and other key stakeholders to create a framework outlining appropriate uses of AI in teaching, research, and learning, including addressing ethical considerations, academic integrity, and data privacy. In addition, she oversees the Center for Advancement of Teaching Educational Technology work group with respect to the large-scale signature programs and projects such as the Hybrid Initiative and other CAC technology-focused initiatives, including the faculty feedback and fundamentals of online teaching. Please help me welcome Dr. Gebelein with a big round of applause.
Thank you very much. Can everybody hear me okay? All right, wonderful. Well, it's great to be here. Let me go ahead and, let's see. Right. There we go. All right. It's wonderful to be here. As I said, I'm Dr. Jennifer Gebelein. I have been at FIU for almost 25 years now in various roles. This latest role is a director for AI integration, which is really exciting in terms of all the opportunities for students, for faculty, even for staff as well. And I am in the, as she mentioned, in the Center for Advancement of Teaching over in PC 237, so feel free to stop by and say hello. I'm here almost every day. Today we're going to be talking about how AI is changing everything. That's a big title, right? How many of you have used AI? You're in a safe space, so yes, you can say, good, yes, I believe you all. And how many of you use it on a daily basis? Okay, all right, a lot of you. All right, very good. Well, today we're going to be talking about all sorts of things related to AI. This is a large topic. There's so much to discuss. We won't be getting to everything today, but you can always reach out to me. We have actually doubled the number of trainings and professional development opportunities for faculty in the Center for Advancement of Teaching over the past year and a half since I've been in this role, and we are working on professional development opportunities for students as well with other academic units. So please stay tuned for that. What we're going to do first is we're going to go over a little bit of history of AI to show where AI has been, then where we are, and talk about where we're going. And usually I look at things through the lens of teaching and learning, but I'm going to take a little bit of a bigger step back and look at a larger scale so we can really apply it to everything in our lives, and so hopefully to stimulate that discussion. And this will be loosely connected to the article that was provided to me by the Global Learning folks. So, and all the images that you see I generated with Gemini. Except for this one, okay. So this is an infographic which talks about the timeline of artificial intelligence. I believe that this presentation will be available to you afterward. Yeah. It also has links in it as well. So let's talk about in the beginning. AI is not a new thing, right? This is not new. It began in the 1950s. Computing machines essentially functioned as large-scale calculators, right? In fact, when organizations like NASA needed the answer to specific calculations, like the trajectory of a rocket launch, they more regularly turned to human computers or teams of, the famous women, Katherine Johnson, Dorothy Vaughan, Mary Jackson, who worked as human computers in the 50s and 60s. But let's start with the people behind the AI power. So we first have Alan Turing. Anybody heard of the Turing test, right? The imitation test. And he imagined a machine capable of advancing far past its original programming. So it would be initially coded to work according to a certain purpose or code, but it would expand beyond its original function. So with that first idea, we go forward. He lacked the technology to prove that theory because computing machines were not that advanced at that point, but he is credited with conceptualizing AI before it even became called that. Where it really came to fruition was in the Dartmouth conference. Who's heard of this? With the AI. Okay, then I'm glad I'm going over this. All right. So in the summer of '56, Dartmouth College math professor John McCarthy invited a very small group of researchers from various disciplines to participate in a summer workshop, right? Focused on investigating the possibility of thinking machines. The group believed that every aspect of learning or any other feature of intelligence can be, in principle, so precisely described that a machine could be made to simulate it. Right? This was very cutting edge thinking. The conversations that they had and the work they undertook that summer are largely credited with the founding of the field of AI. And 2 years after Turing's death, John McCarthy actually came up with outlining the work from that workshop. He used the term artificial intelligence. So looking forward at some of the manifestations of that work, we can see, you'll be able to see the font easier when you actually get this handout, ELIZA. For example. So created by the MIT folks, in particular scientist Joseph Weiserbaum in '66, ELIZA is considered really one of the first chatbot, right? And it was intended to simulate therapy by repurposing the answers users input or gave it into questions that prompted further conversation, also known as something called the Rogerian argument. Weisenbaum believed that rather rudimentary back and forth would prove to be the simplistic state of machine intelligence. But users came to believe the testers of ELIZA that they were actually talking to a real person, and they were really didn't believe that otherwise, right? So they were hard to convince that ELIZA was not a human. So this was some of that first work. Deep Blue is another example of it was a chess-playing computer program. It competed against the then chess champion Garry Kasparov in a 6-game matchup. But Deep Blue won only one of the 6 games. But this was transformational in terms of AI history. The following year, it won the rematch, and it took the first game in only 19 moves. So again, it didn't have the functionality of today's AI or generative AI, but it could process information at a rate 200 times faster than a human being, than a human brain. So in one single second, it could process or review 200 million potential chess moves. So we also have, this was leading up to some of the research for the NASA rovers. Mars was orbiting much closer to Earth in 2004, so NASA took advantage of that navigable distance by sending the 2 rovers. I don't know if anyone in here is old enough to remember, but Spirit and Opportunity to the Red Planet. So both were equipped with AI, similar to some of the AI that's in your Roombas, but that helped it traverse Mars' rocky, difficult terrain, right? And make decisions in real time rather than waiting for input from a human. Did not need human assistance to do so. So one of the basis for, there are lots of different examples. I want to just touch on Siri and Alexa. Apple in 2011 showcased that new feature, Siri, which are all sort of used to by now. Alexa's old hat. 3 years later, Amazon released Alexa. At that time, in 2011 and 2013 and 14, they still contained limitations, right? And what were those? Command and control, right? Command and control. They were programmed to understand a lengthy list of questions, but cannot answer anything that falls outside of that, right? So we continue to evolve. And what about Sophia? Have anybody heard of Sophia? She was a bot. Robotics made a major leap forward with Sophia, the integration of AI and robotics. And then that was by a Hong Kong-based company called Hanson Robotics. She was capable of facial expressions, jokes, conversation, and that was in 2016. Thanks to her AI innovative team and ability to speak to humans, she became a worldwide phenom, was on talk shows, late night programs, and so forth. So then, OpenAI. Right? OpenAI. They built that generative pre-trained transformer, GPT, in case you always wondered what that stood for. That became the architectural foundation for the early language models of GPT-1 and GPT-2. These were trained on billions of inputs, billions, okay? Even with that amount of learning, their ability to generate distinctive text responses was fairly limited. All right. Instead, it was the LLM or large language model in GPT-3 that created that buzz, right, when it was released in 2020 and signaled a major development in AI. GPT-3 was trained on 175 billion parameters, far exceeding GPT-2. I'm giving you these granular examples because I want you to see the evolution of where this started, where it is, and where we're going. So we all remember, I remember, a lot of people remember, in November 2022, OpenAI released the AI chatbot, ChatGPT, right? It interacted with users in a far more realistic way than previous chatbots to date. Thanks to that GPT-3 foundation, which I just spoke about, that was trained on billions of inputs to improve its natural language processing abilities. So users can prompted it for different responses, help writing, code, resumes, beating writer's block, creativity, conducting research. But unlike previous chatbots, ChatGPT-3 could ask follow-up questions and recognize inappropriate prompts. Right? So This is a quick review. That was a very condensed view of history. There is a lot more that I've missed, some things that we'll go into today, but I just wanted to share that with you. And if you haven't, just a plug, tried Notebook LM. This was generated with that kind of input, and it pumps out terrific infographics. So, right, here we are. So, to give, again, a little bit more background here, because I think it's necessary, AI is not the same thing as generative AI, right? So AI refers to really that broad field of machines simulating human intelligence to analyze data, make predictions, recognize patterns, trends. Generative AI is a subset, right, of AI focusing on creating new, original content such as text, images, video, code, audio, based on training patterns rather than simply analyzing existing data. So this is an important differentiation. So I took some questions in, and so I'm answering them before that some of you reached out with. Somebody asked, which is better? Which is better? Well, that depends, right? How's that for a wishy-washy answer? Neither is strictly better, right? Traditional AI tends to excel at analysis, predictions, automation, while generative AI really shines in creating new content, right? Now, the better option depends on the task that you set before it, right? So it's really looking at backward design. What is your goal? What is your purpose? And working from there to which model serves you the best. Is Alexa a generative AI? No. Alexa uses traditional AI techniques like natural language processing, speech recognition to understand and respond to commands, right? It does not create new content, which makes it different from generative AI systems. So again, generative AI is a subset. And so let's move on. Just want to bring that together and see what kind of, where it sits in your everyday life. And there we go. All right. Everywhere. Okay. This is a limited list, but just to go through a couple things. How many of you use the facial recognition system on your phone, right? Pretty good. No one has a face like yours, right? That's me. When my kid tries to bust into my phone, does it work? No, right? No. So AI algorithms like Apple's Face ID use machine learning to scan our faces in 3D. Remember when you first did it, it asked you to turn to the side, turn like this, for secure unlocking. Cameras for years have used computational photography to automatically identify different parts of your face. So they have a camera system set up in the, it's not called the Metro, the Tube in London, that whole system, right? And for facial recognition software. That's been going on for quite a while and improving beyond belief. Cameras on your phone just use that computational photography, right, to automatically enhance photos real time, adjusting for low light, very blameless. Virtual assistants, tools like Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, natural language processing. You can create, we'll get to that in a second. Predictive text and autocorrect. So this is something I want to talk about a little bit and touch on with students. So remember, how many of you use Grammarly? Or have used Grammarly? Yeah. Okay, pretty good. It's a good tool, right? The thing is that Grammarly is great. However, it's important to know, just stepping back and putting on my educator's hat here, what your professor's policies are in terms of what is allowable. Because even though you are trying to do the right thing by turning in the best written piece of work that you can by using Grammarly, the AI detection systems will flag that as AI generated. Yeah.
How does that differ?
Hang on one sec.
How does, that's loud. How does that differ from words autocorrect and
It's the same family. It is the same. It is the same family. Although of AI helped and trying to finish your sentence, for example, it's that language prediction. It's the same. But when you are using a certain software like Grammarly, I'm just saying in terms of policy. That's what I'm talking about itself. So when you just make sure that you understand. There was a question over here. Okay. Just make sure that you understand what your professor's policy is. And just say, just for my edification, I can see in the syllabus, it says whatever it says. But if I use Word, the autocorrect, or I use Grammarly, am I going to get docked for that, right? Am I going to get hit for plagiarism when it gets, and just ask, right? What I am suggesting to professors a lot of times, and I want to get back onto this, but that's an excellent question. What I am suggesting to professors is have students turn in drafts, right? The before and the after, right? So they can see that, yes, you want to clean up the writing, you want to turn in something that's polished, but it truly is you that is writing this, right? So, yes, and she has a microphone for you. I think somebody on the end, yes.
So that makes me, that's a problem that I've run into previously because, I'm someone who comes from a writing background, so communications, journalism, public relations. So writing is something that comes very naturally to me. Mm-hmm. And clean writing that has a certain tone is something that is very, very common in our field. And what I've been noticing is that if you're a really clean writer, who writes in a particular style or who uses certain language, a lot of times, I've had stuff that I've written completely 100% original, no Grammarly, no nothing, and it's flagged as 100% AI. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's important for, like you said, professors and people who are kind of the gatekeepers to someone's academic trajectory, mm-hmm. to keep in mind that these AI detectors are not 100%. Yeah, they're not. Right. And to not rely on them too much, because you could be falsely accusing a student who just is a clean writer like me, who may be inspired an AI or two with their work. Right. Mm-hmm. So just to be careful and use your discretion with that. Mm-hmm. And besides the drafts, what other solutions do you usually tell those gatekeepers of academic success and academic upward trajectory on how to combat that and how to not rely on it too much?
No, it's a great and important point that you raise. And so the one thing that I am doing is because I am also one of those people, I write like I talk, but in this case, it's not a bad thing. So it comes out very clean. But a lot, even a paper that I recently wrote came out as 100% AI generated, but it wasn't. It was me. It's just the way that I write. So sometimes what I advise faculty to do is to offer students the opportunity to submit multiple examples of their writing, right? So you have a lot of different touch points for those faculty to say, hey, yes, this is a consistent, writing pattern. This is this consistent quality for how this student writes. So now I can better assess this student overall and taking a look at that flagged score. So that's one thing. Also, it is the second point that you raised. It is education for faculty. I mean, look, it's the Wild West with AI for everybody. It's not just students. Right? Faculty are learning too. And so it's easy to get impatient, but do have patience with your faculty because, they're learning right along there with you. And so understanding that, these flagging systems are not infallible, right? They're not perfect. And then going from there. Yeah.
Yeah. We just happen to have some faculty here.
Yes.
So I think it'd be useful to hear from faculty
Mm-hmm.
and what strategies faculty use
Sure.
to answer just that question of AI, of the suspicion of AI that's not AI. So I open it to any faculty member here who would like to.
Yeah, there is no 100% way to detect AI, period. the detectors out there are not 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no way to prove that something was done with AI. That's it. So when AI first came out, the initial reaction of us was to reject it and to, ban it. But then that quickly changed into embracing it. So now, for example, the computer science department has completely revamped its curriculum. Over 75 courses have changed or are in the process of changing to include AI into every single course.
Mm-hmm.
So AI is a tool that is here to stay. It's only going to get smarter. There is no way to outrun it, right? So we need to embrace it as a tool to help us, but not to think for us.
Right.
So I think the solution here is not to police it. The solution is to educate our students so they use it as a tool to help them and not to replace them. Right? We don't want our students to be replaced. We don't want humans to be replaced. So this needs to be a change of culture, a change of mentality, so we can move forward. Thank you.
No, that's a really great point. And we don't want to, as students, we, think about, how can I keep up with this? How can I integrate this tool, right? You don't want to outsource your critical thinking, as you were saying, right? You do want to become whatever subject matter expert that your field demands. And the real people who will succeed here are those who know how to manage AI, right, within their respective fields. They know how to work with it, how to integrate it into the different tasks that they have to do, whether you're a computer scientist or an engineer or a writer or a healthcare individual. So it's really learning about how you can apply it to yourself and your own individual expertise that you're gaining while you're here, while maintaining that integrity and not outsourcing that critical thinking that you need to succeed. Cool. All right. So all of these places, AI is here. So this is something, this is a good segue into actually this next topic, which is trade-offs that matter. Trade-offs that matter with AI. And that, yeah. Do you want me to go back?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I just wanted to have a question before you move on
Sure.
to the next topic, because you showed us on the previous slides how AI works, and generative AI and just regular AI. My question to you is that, do you think AI can be truly biased, like without bias, since it has all the information on the internet,
Mm-hmm.
which could be biased or not? Like if you use it for information or getting information, can it truly be unbiased?
No.
Okay.
No. And let me expand on that no. So to her point, one of the, AI learns on the biggest data set available to any of us, which is the internet. There is clearly bias on the internet. There's all kinds of negative, positive bias. There is all kinds of bias. Now, that said, again, what are you using AI for, right? So when you are interfacing with any kind of AI platform, if you are using it for a curriculum, for example, I've worked with a number of different faculty who are creating AI agents for their classes or AI learning assistants. And so clearly you don't want to introduce potentially damaging or negative bias into AI assistance for your students, because that AI agent will be available to them 24/7 as opposed to you, who are only available office hours or during class. So when you interface or when you build such an agent, you provide the subject matter expertise, the tone, the type of agent that it is, the type of AI you want it to be, how you want it to interface with your students or with you, and you provide guardrails and security parameters very, very clearly into your interaction with any AI or if you are creating an agent. So this is also training that we offer at CAT, at the Center for Advancement of Teaching, but For example, and that goes for both personal and professional, by the way. I have an AI agent that I created for myself with OpenAI's ChatGPT. I gave him a gender and a name. His name is Whisper. Because I'm very loud, so he whispers. Anyway. But I have developed him over the past 2 years. And so he knows my professional experience. He knows all the papers, books I've written, all of my curricula that I personally have developed. And so when I brainstorm with Whisper, it is incredibly productive because he can help me when I have a problem that I want to solve or a new piece of curriculum that I want to implement for the Honors College or wherever I'm teaching or lecturing or providing professional development. That agent knows every single thing that I have ever fed into it. And the kind of learner I am and the kind of people the kind of learners that I am helping.
Does he ever disagree with you? Because whenever I use it, I feel like whatever you say, AI will agree. Like,
not always. No, he doesn't. And that's a great point. When you are interfacing with an AI, they're sort of like eager little birds or whatever, right? They never want to stop talking to you, and they will always agree with you, except if you put those parameters in place that say, please make sure and challenge me. I want you to challenge my thinking, right? So this is where that critical thinking that you rightly brought up, and you as well. I'm sorry to say you, I don't know your names, but we don't want to outsource that because we are defining that learning space with the AI as we are constructing it, right? As we are constructing that interaction, that engagement. And so if you give it permission to disagree with you and encourage it to say, well, maybe this is okay, but this would be better based on your work, an idea from 2 years ago that I remember when it was 2 a.m. and you couldn't sleep and you were having this conversation, right? So it's a terrific repository, right? I don't know if any of you are Harry Potter fans. It's kind of like that professional pensieve, right? You just put all that stuff in there with the correct guardrails in place and with the correct prompts, right? And again, one of the trainings we offer is literally Communication 101 with AI. Because you have to understand how to communicate with it to get the best response, parameters, and result out of it. So it's the good questions that you ask. And it takes practice. It takes practice. It won't come overnight.
Excuse me. Oh my God, this is loud.
What? What's that?
This is loud. Speaking of which, so if AI goes south, who is responsible for it?
Define going south.
I would say, like, because I'm a law major, and I'm wondering if something is wrong with the law and AI was used behind it, who is responsible for that? Would you say the AI or the person who used it?
When does a creation, when is it too close to us? When we did not give permission, right? So those types of laws and policies in the US are a bit behind right now what they are in Europe. And so in 2023, actually, the European Parliament put together an act, and it has continued to evolve since then, with a lot of legal protection for privacy, for data, people, likenesses, companies, what have you. And again, that's in the presentation as a link as well. In the US, we do not have any federal law like that. It's not in existence right now. There are some state laws. There are some, company policies with the, I think it was Friday when OpenAI reached that agreement with the Department of War. They then subsequently released exactly what their policy is. But that's a company policy, right? So I see you look dissatisfied, but that is literally what's happening right now. There is no real central federal law governing this right now. Not right now. And yes.
Yeah, so just talking about the legal ramifications and everything, I'm sure a lot of us have seen a lot of the headlines with these lawyers who have been sanctioned by the judge, sanctioned by the court for using AI to cite laws that don't even exist, for appeals, for trials, and then like you mentioned with the Department of War. Forget the federal ramifications of AI going south, but when we're using things, when our government is using, our military is using things like AI for military purposes, like using AI to possibly, automate or help with and assist in, say, a military attack or assassination or even a regime change. If that was to turn into a really big issue for us, the people, it does start to raise the question of who's responsible, especially if, let's say, AI was used at that level. I haven't read in depth about it, but I was really interested at the headlines I was seeing about this AI and the Pentagon, and that's very interesting to me when we use AI for things like national defense and international military intervention, what the ramifications are for that.
Right, and I just want to point out also another example that isn't just necessarily a federal level, but from the company standpoint. I don't know if anyone has heard about the issue with the Burger King and AI. So this is something that last year, over 100 stores, Burger King implemented a pilot project where those headsets that the employees wear, right? An AI was installed in those so that it could monitor the positive engagements that their employees were having with customers. You can see where this is going, right? So there was no opt-out. There was no opt-out. They are expanding it to 500 different locations. The issue that they did not anticipate having, and you can look this up, the issue that they did not anticipate having was not only did it record the employees, if they forgot to say welcome to Burger King, or their tone wasn't friendly, or whatever. Not only did it record that, it also recorded the customer's response. And so there was a huge number of data breaches of personal information from the customer that were inadvertently recorded into those listening devices. So this is clearly a data breach. So to your point, who's responsible? Who's responsible? So this is an ongoing thing, but Burger King is not the only business who is doing that. So next time you go to Burger King, just order the fries. So yeah, but I just want to point out that it is not simply the federal government. It is this experimentation with data, with surveilling behavior. It is not simply, at the federal government level. It is in all different levels. I'm not trying to freak you out, but I'm just saying, that yes.
Yeah, I want to make a quick point. It is very important to know that AI is imperfect, and AI lies, and it does it frequently. And I have tested this many times. Ask AI to give you references about something. It will make up the reference. Mm-hmm. It will say this is a paper with this author, and those are fake. When you confront AI, I have done it, this author doesn't exist, it will defend the lie. The second and third time that you say, this is not true, it will come back and say, you were right, I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. These were fictitious references.
Oh, yes.
So when you ask who is responsible, I think, well, I don't know at the federal level or these high levels, but I can tell you that's a common sense. We are responsible.
Yes.
I mean, you are responsible to use something knowing that it's imperfect, that it can lie, and then how are you going to use that? If it's in a research paper, right? You're going to base something of research based on what AI is telling you without verification, then you are responsible for that. You cannot say the robot is the responsible, right? The robot is never going to be responsible. It's the creator going to be responsible, and the ones that use it.
Right. And that's a great point. I mean, truly the user is responsible for the engagement or interaction with it. This is a tool. Remember, at its base, this is a tool. So I feel like we're like mind melding here. This is great. So 100%. Now, I will say that again, it depends on the prompt that you use. Whenever I, for example, use Research Rabbit. There's a number of other AI tools that are specifically for doing research that are quite good. However, I always ask when I'm looking for references, I say, give me the direct URL to where this exists or where this citation exists. So when it pumps out a whole list of references that I want to use in a paper or explore or keep up to date with, I can literally click on it and see that indeed this actually does exist, or it's a bunch of hooey, right? And it goes nowhere. So, and I think do we have another? Yes.
Your point and yours, the mass surveillance with Burger King. Actually, Ring has a new policy. I don't know if you guys are familiar. The Super Bowl ad, there was actually a Super Bowl ad with the spotting dogs. Like if you lost a dog in your neighborhood, you could tell your Ring, hey, I lost my dog. It's a Doberman or a German Shepherd, right? But what else could it be used for? If, not just dogs, but it's concerning, to say the least. And you also have defense companies like Anduril who are also implementing AI into their drones that are, say defense, but
it is truly not all doom and gloom. You can use it to be very, very productive, to help you, and it's easy to get caught up in the negativity. And I'm not saying to dismiss that. There are a lot of things to be cognizant of, but one of the things you have to think about, to the point that I brought up here, is AI is always very confident in its answers, even when it's wrong. It can be dead wrong, but it will say that information with confidence. And when anything or anyone says something with confidence and yes, absolutely, here is what I'm giving you. You think, oh, great, thank you, right? Question, always confirm, right? Always trust yourself, right? You are becoming the subject matter experts in whatever it is that you're here for, right? And so when you think, AI assigns to any answer it gives you across different platforms a probability score or an accuracy score. You don't see this, right? But the accuracy, the goal of AI is it measures how often it's correct, right? The confidence is the probability score the AI assigns to its own answer. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is correct. 25%, but with confidence, right? So the conflict is that high confidence does not equal high accuracy, right? So research indicates that the leading AI systems can generate false claims or responses at a rate of up to 40% of the time. And that's as of last week. Okay, so be wary, right? Question, always check. And there are, I forget who brought it up, but there's also cognitive biases, right? So beware of the cognitive biases that are there. Because my entire background is STEM, is coding, I got my PhD in satellite image analysis. I have been in male-dominated fields my entire life. When I asked AI 3 different platforms to generate an image of me, And it knew I had had a child, by the way. It took so long for each of those 3 interfaces to generate a woman. I was always a man. That's bias. That's bias. Every time, literally for like 6 months, right? So just beware of those kinds of biases. Yeah. Yes.
I was just in conversation to help us move along with the rest of your presentation. In the trade-offs, right, convenience, privacy, accuracy, confidence, things that you've already talked about, and it harkens back to when you started this conversation about placing guardrails on your own agent. I wonder, too, how the relationship to those trade-offs differ for paid and free versions, right? So we were talking about like privacy and what kinds of controls you can have over your own AI. I think in this conversation of trade-offs, that like tiered level of access is also going to be part of that.
Yeah, that's a great question, Michelle. I mean, make no mistake, the tiered level, the pay AI systems are better, right? They are better. They do deeper thinking. They do the more of that neural network infrastructure is ingrained in them. If you want to just interact with a bot, plan your vacation, whatever, I mean, that's, the top level free version is fine. Any type of deeper research, you do need the pay version. I mean, I have the $20 a month OpenAI, and it's fine for me. But I do get significantly different responses than my colleague, he's my AI faculty fellow, Mark Weinstein. He pays the $200 a month, which is redonkulous. But I mean, but we get different responses to these same queries. Different, markedly different. His is far more in-depth. So make no mistake, there is absolutely a difference in those paid tier levels. There was a question over. No? Okay, cool. Right, such good audience. All right, right. Okay, we've kind of been getting into this a bit more. This relates to the argument itself. I wouldn't say, again, you as the consumer, you are leading your interaction with AI, right? Don't outsource that responsibility to anyone else, right? And don't outsource the check and the need for accuracy, for ease or convenience. So be sure and always stay on task with that. Goldberg was a little bit, in my opinion, doom and gloom. The AI impacts are broad and often negative in daily life, she points out. She did point out the backlash does not fit neatly into left or right? It doesn't. And she also highlighted skepticism with different sides, cultural, conservatives worried about social breakdown, progressives worried about labor, surveillance, concentrated power, pro-growth leaders attracted to investment and jobs. The one great thing I will say to all of you is that, and including faculty, right? We are in a transformative period right now. And you can truly define yourself and continue to reframe your approach to your discipline with this tool to empower you. There are so many different avenues that you can take to use it and harness it, that it can make you invaluable and creative and innovative in your field. And if you have that in your tool belt going forward when you graduate or go up for tenure, or I don't know, then that's going to show that you have value added in this, in this environment. And that's really something to consider. That's really something to consider. This tool is here for you, and it's here to stay. I will say what makes AI different from past tech, and this is something that Goldberg also brings up. The builders of AI technology, they recognized its risk very early. They recognized it very early, but they raced ahead anyway. Because you know why? Somebody else might do it first. Somebody else might do it first. If we don't, someone else will. And so this mentality of just screaming forward with perhaps not the greatest checks and balances in place has been to detriment sometimes. Yeah.
Yes, just a quick question. When you mentioned paid version, which of them do you use mostly? And perhaps you could also compare.
Me, personally?
Yes, and then why that one, like, compare and contrast between that and, I don't know, ChatGPT, Gemini from Anthropic, and Claude from Anthropic and Gemini from Google, and perhaps other tools that you might point out as extremely useful.
I actually, in this PowerPoint, which again will be shared with you, I have a whole list of, as of February 2026, an article that I really liked. I did not write it, but it is some of the top AI tools for different applications. So that is in here, and they will provide that to you. But for myself, I am a huge fan of the Google suite of AI tools. I use Google's Notebook LM a lot. It has mind mapping. It has, which is I find fabulous because it can take a lot of very complex documents and it can parse out and map. I'm a very visual person, so it can parse out and map the major trends, patterns of data, for example, or it can also look at qualitative information from the text. So I find that very useful. For students, it can also, the free version, can also create flashcards, quizzes for you. You can actually upload a boatload of content to Notebook LM, your course content, and have it create, this is so cool, have it create a podcast for you between two AI personas, and you can interface with it. So they will start talking about, okay, Michelle, today we're going to do a deeper dive into, these radio host voices, into AI and the 21st century tools of the 4C, blah, 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 right? You can interrupt it and ask it questions based on the content that you have uploaded. So you can have a dialogue with the artificial intelligence, giving it those guardrails of just the content that you uploaded and the parameters for how you want it to interface with you, like a learning coach or a mentor, as well as a tutor. So it has, and it can generate voiceover PowerPoints. It is fabulous. So long-winded answer to that question. I love Notebook LM, Gemini Gems for agents, for creating agents in Google. I use ChatGPT quite a bit. That's what Whisper is built in. And it's good. I know. It's good. I build a lot of AI agents. And what I like to do is actually compare whatever I want to do across the board with different AI systems to see which one performs the best for my needs. So that's what I would recommend to you. Truly spend the time. Spend the time and try it out. There's literally nobody, there's no bad repercussion for you comparing and contrasting and figuring things out. Play-based pedagogy, right? Just give it a shot. Yeah.
Just a note, when you mention upload course content, check with your professor if they allow that. Remember, when you're uploading stuff to the AI, it's going out there. So it's normally not legal to upload things like textbooks or anything that is copyrighted. And also the material from professors is normally copyrighted unless they explicitly tell you it's okay to do that. And you can always ask.
Yes, great point. Always check. Yes. So I know I was, okay. Yes, so I know we have had an amazing discussion. I knew we weren't going to get through everything today, but I just wanted to leave you with this, which goes to your point. If you're unsure how to use AI, ask. If you're unsure whether you can upload it into building an agent, ask. If it's not your material, make sure you can use it. Excuse me. So use the WISE model, right? What's the task? What do I want it to do? What are you feeding it? Don't ever put in your personal, sensitive information. Don't do that. What can be, sources, what can be verified? Always check and be able to explain how you did it, right? I have learned so much from my students over the years in this process, and they can, it's fabulous. Don't be afraid to talk to your professors about your use of AI, right? They're learning too. So it's a world where we need to work together on this. All right. So just a closing for you. What do you want being human to mean? So take that and digest that and go forward. But what do you want that to mean? Yes.
I just had a question about because, as she said, sorry, I don't know your name, and some people mentioned that there are negative sides. I know there are lots of positive sides, but there are people who are using AI to create bad images or bad things. How can we advocate for more regulations or rules for this? Like, is there a space now? Because you mentioned in the US there is nothing really going on to protect these things, but in Europe there is. Like, is there anything we can do as regular people to advocate for change?
So familiarize yourself with the state laws and they actually in our state in particular, they have them on the website, and local laws as well. In terms of you can lead by example. Lead by example. So if you're a professor, show your students what are good practices, what are safe practices, right? How not to outsource critical thinking, and level with them like what you consider cheating, right? I mean, that really truly does differ across disciplines, across even classes. So just be sure and make it crystal clear, as professors, what you consider plagiarism and so forth. But to advocate, start with knowledge. You can even take a look at what the EU, what the European Union is doing. Those kinds of international laws that I think are great models for us. So educating yourself is key. And then using your own actions as an example, just as a start. Yeah. Hang on.
Just a quick question. Does the EU use like government laws regulating AI, or does it use corporate laws?
Both. No, it's very clear. They literally have a couple of different tiles where you can go as a business entity, as an educational entity. It's very clearly laid out. So that is a great place to start. Yeah.
And one last question right there.
Mm-hmm. Don't it is okay. I see today like a chart that was shown from a paper at Stanford Human Center AI Institute, that the chart was showing that out of 7,000 languages that exist are included in AI database. So that leads me to how culturally conscious of in an international our students have different perceptions, and perhaps for them in their background, educational background, cultural beliefs, AI might have different implications. How can we adjust that reality that not everybody is represented?
Is everybody represented everywhere? Thanks. So I think you raise a great point, and that actually sounds like a great class to create. But incorporating, people talk about the digital divide all the time, and that the technology behind AI actually may serve to further widen it. And so this is something that is 100% a valid concern. This is also in the realm that we need to educate ourselves about what is missing, right? Because we don't necessarily know, right? These companies are changing the technologies all the time. So maybe some languages clearly are not included, or some, what is the perception that perhaps the bias that is nowhere in there for, I'm running out of words, but so yes, that is an extremely important point, and I don't really have the answer, other than the technology has continued to advance so fast that it is, these companies are striving to keep up, but they're leaving by the wayside on the cutting room floor a lot of things that are extremely important, right?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have reached the end. We would like to thank you, Dr. Gebelein, for such an amazing conversation. I think we need to have you back soon. This is definitely a topic that we all truly connect to, and we truly appreciate your work and the amazing work that you do at FIU, and also for giving us guidelines into how to connect with AI in today's world. Thank you so much. And I know we went a little bit over time, but just as a reminder, TTR continues next week, and this time around we're going to have the Women's Center do a session about women history. So please come and join us next week again. The conversation is going to be with women in technology. So we look forward to having you again next week. Have a wonderful day.